Inside Viola Davis's Los Angeles mansion, a Hollywood star's life of strength and authenticity. Night gathers over the hills, and a quiet street holds its breath. Through wide panes, warm light spills across oak floors. Books lean in attentive rows. A cello of a staircase lifts toward the hush of a private landing. A framed playbill rests beside a gilded statuette. A child's watercolor shares the wall with a black-and-white portrait from a Broadway run. This is Viola Davis's Los Angeles sanctuary, part rehearsal room, part refuge, where rigor meets grace, and the next chapter takes shape in pencil first. The myth is Polish. The truth is muscle, memory, and voice. That's the foyer. The rest of the house expands the thesis. Early life and grounding. She began in St. Matthews, South Carolina, and grew up in Central Falls, Rhode Island. Cold winters, tight budgets, a family stitching dignity from thin margins. Hunger was not a metaphor. It was a visitor. She has said the first dream was simply to be full. Then came a school stage, a teacher's nudge, and the discovery that inhabiting a character could be more than escape. It could be power. From there, discipline took the lead. Rhode Island College opened a door. Juilliard hardened the craft. She learned breath, text, and the courage to tell the truth even when the truth shook. The early years were not red carpets. They were repertory theaters, understudy schedules, and notes in the margins that read, "Deeper." Rise to prominence, the stage crowned her first. Tony Awards arrived for King Hedley II and Fences, a double proof that stillness can thunder. Film followed. In doubt, she detonated a single scene into a career redefinition. In The Help, she transformed a character into a conscience. On television, How to Get Away with Murder made history and expanded her audience, placing a complex, unvarnished black woman at the center of primetime time and into awards night on the first row. Fences on screen brought the Academy Award. The Woman King brought a battlefield and a producing credit. Air gave her a mother's spine that bent for no one. Then the circle closed in 2023 with a Grammy for her memoir's audiobook, completing the EGOT. Accolades decorate the story. Choices define it. The house as a working instrument. This home is not an exhibit. It's a tool. The living room is tuned for conversation. Soft rugs that drink sound, a low table stacked with scripts, the remote set aside for a pen. The kitchen works like a daytime command center. Notes on the fridge, flowers from the garden, a cast iron pan seasoned by repetition. Down the hall, a study, a desk with a swiveling lamp, a window that makes room for afternoon sun, a bulletin board pinned with faces and arcs for characters not yet announced. Walls carry history, family photos right beside production stills, because in this house, lineage is a craft note. There's a gym not for spectacle but for stamina, mirrors that reflect a fighter's stance as much as form. Outside, a terrace watches the city without chasing it, string lights crossing like lines of dialogue. A backyard citrus tree ignores premieres and keeps producing. This is Los Angeles, so the home learns to hold both industry and interiority. An early call time and a quiet breakfast. A table read by day and a bedtime story by night. Authenticity isn't a motif here. It's a calendar item. Craft, process, and the page. Her work begins with text. She marks verbs, maps secrets, and interrogates subtext until the speech breathes. On a roll, she asks, what is the wound? What is the armor? Where is the human under both? The result is a performance that doesn't announce itself so much as arrive, rooted at the soles of the feet. JuVee Productions, the company she runs with her husband Julius Tenen, extends that ethos to the pipeline, acquiring stories, elevating underrepresented voices, and building vehicles where complexity isn't a luxury, it's a baseline. Meetings here end with to-do lists and start with, why this? The brand is not a logo, it's a standard. Signature assets and quiet luxury. In a trophy room that refuses to crow, statues sit at eye level rather than on pedestals. The luxury reads as intentional, textiles that feel lived in, art from creators she's met, a piano that gets played, closets show taste without shouting, silhouettes that honor the body she owns, colors that register on a carpet and disappear on a patio. A handful of statement gowns live in garment bags like old friends you call for the big speech. The rest is movement-friendly, clothes that serve a rehearsal as well as a gala. The most prized assets are less visible, time blocks labeled writing, reading, family, and quiet. The schedule is armor, the boundaries are oxygen, deals, books, and business architecture. The income stack is diversified by design, feature and series fees, with points negotiated when leverage warrants. Producing via JuVee, optioning books, partnering with studios, packaging talent, and building slates where ownership travels with the story. Endorsements aligned with message and self-respect, beauty as declaration rather than disguise, including a major beauty ambassadorship that recast "because you're worth it" as testimony, not tagline. Publishing, where Finding Me became both a bestseller and a voice print, and the audiobook turned pages into a Grammy. The through line is alignment. If the contract asks her to mute mission, she declines. If the platform amplifies the very people she once needed to see, she leans in. Strategy here is not a hedge, it's a statement. Philanthropy and advocacy. Giving is not an afterthought in this house. It's a fixed expense. Childhood hunger remains a core cause. Campaigns, grants, and partnerships aimed at kids who are learning while empty. Arts education gets real dollars, scholarships, school programs, and funds that put instruments and scripts into hands that might otherwise carry only worry. She supports organizations that protect women and girls, that answer trauma with therapy instead of silence, and that expand the pipeline into film and television so a new generation doesn't have to ask permission to exist on screen. Advocacy for her wears no costume. It sounds like an acceptance speech that names scarcity out loud. It looks like calling for better roles and better rooms, writers' rooms, boardrooms, classrooms. On some days it's a check. On others, it's a phone call that changes a casting list. Dignity is the policy. Personal life and boundaries. Inside these walls, marriage is partnership and production. Co-parents, co-founders, co-strategists. With Julius Tenen, she's built a home that belongs to their daughter as much as to the mantle. There's a dog that thinks it owns the rug and wins. There are birthdays with sheet cake and a playlist that cuts from Coltrane to Afrobeats without apology. Privacy isn't a mood, it's a choice. The public gets what serves the work and the witness. The rest remains sacred. Therapy has a recurring appointment. Joy has one too. Recent chapters. The last few years have read like a thesis in range. A warrior queen leading women into battle. A first lady reimagined from the inside out. A mother negotiating legacy with a single look. The pace is deliberate, enough to stay in the conversation, measured enough to make each entry count. Producing ramps while acting remains central. Development slates hold period pieces and contemporary dramas, voices new and veteran, geographies beyond the Hollywood zip code. Culturally, the image has sharpened from formidable actress to institutional voice. She does not just inhabit parts. She expands what parts are offered to those who come after. Representation here isn't a trend, it's infrastructure. The mansion as metaphor. Walk the hallway of photographs, childhood braids, a high school stage, a Juilliard headshot, a Broadway bow, a family beach day, a film set at dawn. It's a timeline that refuses to separate the human from the resume. The dining table doubles as a war room for a third-act rewrite. The garden is a daily reminder that growth takes tending and time. Even the guest room is designed for community, a bed for a niece in from out of town or a friend in need of a landing. Everything serves the same aim, To live a life sturdy enough to tell the truth on screen and generous enough to lift others off it. Legacy. Legacy is already tangible. Roles that altered casting math, speeches that gave courage a dictionary, a production company that makes space instead of simply asking for it. Awards will tarnish slowly. Opportunities created for others will not. A generation of actors cites her name as permission. A generation of executives learns that bankable is a story you can rewrite with proof. Look again at the house at night. The city shimmers. The room quiets. A script lies open, corners bent like dog ears on a well-loved book. The trophies are still. The work moves. Strength lives here, but not the brittle kind. This is tensile strength, the kind that bends and returns, that carries history without breaking, that invites you closer and then tells you the truth. She built a life where authenticity is not a performance, but a practice, and the practice powers everything else. If this walk through the doorway showed you how craft and courage can shape a home and a legacy, tap like, subscribe for more cinematic deep dives, and tell us in the comments whose house, set, deal, or turning point you want opened next. Bring your curiosity. We'll meet you by the staircase.